Weather change too, it's like just drier. We'll go ahead and call the regular meeting of the Nevada City Council to order on Monday, October 11th, 2021 at 6:00 p.m. And before we do the roll call, I would like to ask for a moment of silence for Captain Tyndall in his memory. Thank you all, and we'll go ahead and proceed with the roll call. Here. 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 Next item is approval of the agenda. Move to approve. Second. Jason and Dane, any discussion? Seeing none, council please vote. That is approved. Takes us into a workforce retraining program presentation from the Ames Chamber of Commerce Foundation.
Good morning. You can see what type of day I've had. Good evening, Nevada Council and members of the community that are joining us tonight. Wanted to take a few minutes to talk a little bit about an initiative that we're partnering with the Story County Board of Supervisors on. We have, since last fall, been working with DMAC and the human service providers across Story County to do some retraining. And since last fall, we've done about 40, engaged about 40 folks from Story County and gotten them retrained in really healthcare and manufacturing occupations, upskilling them to opportunities where they can work full-time, get benefits, and have a chance at advancement. And so the supervisors, one of the things that the American Rescue Funds can be used on is workforce training. And so I applaud the Story County Board of Supervisors, are really the first supervisors in the state to really set forth a plan to utilize some of their funds in the areas of retraining. And so rather than reinventing the wheel, they worked with us and our foundation, because it needs to go to a 501c3, to lay out a plan for the next 3.5 years to really retrain about 400 people across Story County. And so I'm going to give you a little bit more information about that. First, the total amount of funds that they've allocated is $661,000. And so a very small percentage of those funds are actually going to support a staff addition into our offices. It's not a full-time opportunity, but it's enough that we were able to bring another person in who will also assist me with some workforce items. So I can spend more time with her in Nevada, but it's Nikki Fisher. She's been here before. She sits on P&Z for the city. She is well aware of things going on around the county of Story. So we were able to bring her on, and she'll actually have the responsibility to work with DMAC and our communities and our human service providers and our faith communities to promote this training. So the training will be in the areas of CNA, specifically not only the basic class, but the advanced class, welding, and the lion's share of the welding will actually take place here in Nevada at the high school. A manufacturing production technician. Our goal is to have about half of the participants, because we have so many manufacturing opportunities, half of our participants be in really that area. Maintenance technician and electrician. So if you had an existing employer here, they'd tell you just how hard it is to find somebody to work in maintenance. And then a really sprinkle throughout those 3.5 years of training, we'll also do a couple classes in phlebotomy and patient intake. So everybody says, well, why aren't you offering more patient intake? because we don't have that many openings. So the worst thing we can do is commit people to going through these classes and then not have a job for them. And so the class amounts will be really determined by what our current openings are at that point in time. So right now, we have an abundance of healthcare openings, an abundance of welding, and a lot of manufacturing opportunities. So most of the focus will occur there. So I mentioned that $661,000, a really small percentage of that is going to staff. Most of those dollars is going to what we consider wraparound services. So if they need childcare, we'll pay for their childcare while they're at class. If they need transportation because they don't have a car, we'll give them an Uber gift card. We'll make arrangements for them to have gas card for friends and family to get them to class. We'll offer them scholarships if they do not qualify for the DMAC Workforce Training Academy. So again, this is a great partnership with DMAC because they have federal funds that they can take to actually pay for tuition for almost everybody. But if there are some instances where they can't pay for it, for example, if they don't have a high school diploma, we can scholarship those students so they're able to participate. And then the other thing we're doing that we didn't offer before is actually stipends to stay in the class. And then when they graduate from the class, and then when they take a job in Story County. So there'll be a total of $600 that we'll provide to the students going through the class in order for them to be able to stay in the class and ultimately take work. They've provided us marketing dollars. So we've relied on, up until now, usually digital media to promote the program, and they've allowed some money for marketing of the program. So billboards, movie theaters, radio advertising to get the word out, as well as we're going to be doing some referrals for people that are in the class to refer their friends. And so I guess my request to all of you, not only the council, is if you know of somebody that is struggling in their current job or somebody that isn't working, if you know of a graduate from 2020 or 2021 that is decided not to go to school because they didn't want to go online, please get them to our offices. You can direct them to me. If it's easy to get to Jordan or Henry, they know how to find me. We want to make sure we're following up with those folks to share the opportunity. So last week we started a CNA class. So we had 8 students start in a CNA class. Our intention are to start another welding class right after the first of the year. And then in December, we're doing a whole week of manufacturing. So rather than spending manufacturing over 6 weeks, we're actually starting people at 8 o'clock. They'll get done at 5 o'clock. We'll buy them lunch. And then at the end of the week, we'll bring in our manufacturers to actually meet them and greet them and hopefully talk about opportunities. So we appreciate people's assistance in getting the word out. It's a great opportunity, a great investment that the supervisors are making in terms of upskilling people. You think about the value of people having stable work, working a regular 40 hours a week, having health care, having a chance to advance in their jobs, not only the impact that can have on that individual family, but as well as all of our communities. So any questions you have? I mean, you see me frequently, but again, we're excited to partner with them. If you see the 3 supervisors, they are really ahead of others trying to put together a plan. Again, any questions, don't ever hesitate to reach out.
Thank you, Brenda. That moves us into the consent agenda. Any item may be removed for separate consideration.
Okay.
And Barb, any discussion? Hearing none, council, please vote. That is approved. It takes us into the public forum, which is time set aside for comments from the public on topics of city business other than those on the agenda. No action may be taken. Please keep your comments to 5 minutes or less. And we do have a swearing in. I know they had a fire call, but we can still do the swearing in, and you can come back later for this too. So Okay, and we'll go ahead and do that. So we'll have Carl come forward. Or did Ray need to preview something? I wanted to go this under.
I don't know.
Okay,
We can.
well,
always
we'll
wait.
go ahead and do this and Ray can always provide an update if he had more background. So we will probably come over here since Owl's there right now. Have that, and hopefully Marlo's swinging and take some photos. We'll have you go ahead and raise your right hand and repeat after me. Here we go. I state your name.
I, Carl Vogler,
Do solemnly swear
do solemnly swear
that I will support the Constitution of the United States
that I will support the Constitution of the United States
and the Constitution of the State of Iowa
and the Constitution of the State of Iowa
and the City Code of Nevada, Iowa,
and the City Code of Nevada, Iowa,
and that I will faithfully and impartially,
and that I will faithfully and impartially,
to the best of my ability,
to the best of my ability,
discharge all the duties
discharge all the duties of the office of
Fire Chaplain
Fire Chaplain
for the City of Nevada, Iowa,
for the City of Nevada, Iowa,
as now or hereafter required by law.
as now or hereafter required by law.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
Borrow your copy there, you can sign and get it to Karen and they'll take care of that for you. I'm sure Ray will come to us all in on background and stuff he probably has prepared to when he gets back. So we'll continue on with public forum. Is there anyone else here to speak in the public forum? You can head up to the podium there. We have people online, so we'll need you by the microphone there, please.
Hey, here's what I got to say. The people work on the streets out here, it should not take more than 2 weeks to be done. It should take 1 week to tear out the pipes and put them in the pipes here. But two, it should not take them over. Take them over 2 times to dig up the dirt and get what needs to be done. It should not take 3 weeks. So it takes 1 week to get the pipes done, another week to put cement down, and the 2 big blocks out here, that's stupid. Why did they put them there? Because they take, and then they took parking spaces when they built these fucking streets. Over by the barber shop, over by New Care. There's places where 4 cars could park there. And all for customers. And the machine they got, the green machine, is a piece of crap. What you need to do is get a small board, to smooth out, and they put the black tar down. Now, here, the city told us they're gonna tear up that cement, sidewalk, no, that is perfect shape. They don't need to tear down. And they did these roads out here one time, they said it all around the done by Lincoln Highway, they, well, they lied about that. Out there, when you put them streets, I mean, it's just not even smooth. I seen the goddamn workers out there, when the 7-9 kids done, they're not doing nothing. They're sitting there talking. You get another place where you put that fire down, whatever they need to put down. You know, I can do a lot better than where they're working now, these people. And half people all countries, you guys won't listen to nobody. Those are people all countries, you don't listen to them. There was a happy waste of money when they bought that green thing. But I can do faster than they can on any fucking day. Expect more listen to nobody. When anybody cuts it, that's not many people here. There's more listen to nobody. No, but my there's not listen to anybody else.
We're listening to you right now, sir.
Well, I have about time because that's how come my way won't come.
Well, this is the first I've heard from him, and I don't know about the rest of council.
I've been here before. I ain't gonna say like put down. But that's what come people won't come because you guys won't listen to nobody else. You won't take them ideas from anybody else. That's how come they not many people here. And I tell you what, next year, just a lot of things need to be done. I hope again, new people will do them. They'll be hiring the same darn crew. You gotta buy a contract with them, but you sit with that contract. Because they're not looking, have them to sit there talking. And when the cement truck takes off, they wait, they're not doing nothing. You're gonna be another place ready to go.
Is there anything else?
I know a lot of people aren't happy. But they're what, they better not tell that side like my children today, the big shape. Not to tear that up. You don't need to tear that up. Maybe they're going to, you should not tear that up.
I don't know if you have anything about that. I'm not sure.
I do.
Okay.
When I said I couldn't hear most.
Okay.
Follow later.
Okay. Council, do you have anything?
Yeah, because we're all way back. Okay. Yes.
Sir, you don't have to leave.
Yeah, if you're gonna act.
That's not
outside,
acceptable.
Yeah, you're gonna have to leave.
Oh, that doesn't go, listen. Get caught, push me out. But yeah, that's acceptable bullshit.
Anyone else for the public forum? Seeing none, we'll close the public forum and move into old business. Old business A is approved pay request number 4 for the wastewater treatment facility project phase 2. In the amount of $1,002,000 to $2,227.39. Move to approve.
Second.
Jason and Sandy, any discussion?
Aye.
Okay, seeing none, all those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Or vote. Oh, sorry, press your button. Really distracted.
I don't know why.
Old business B, approved pay request number 16 for the central business infrastructure project from Construct, amount of $532,029.90. Move to approve. Second. Okay, Dane, Luke. Any more discussion? Council, please vote. Okay, and resolution C, or item C, resolution number 18, 2021-2022, resolution approving the subaward agreement with Iowa Department of Homeland Security and Emergency Management in the city of Nevada, Iowa for emergency generator.
Move to approve. Second.
Barb and Sandy, discussion?
Doing that, right?
Nice work.
Good stuff.
Very good.
No other discussion, council, please vote.
Light went away. There it is.
Okay.
I might be, I was trying. I'm a yes.
Okay, then that is approved. So we'll circle back to Ray. So we did the actual swearing, but I know you have, I'm sure, something prepared, so.
Use it, chaplain.
Yeah.
Thank you. I apologize. We were called out to a call. So I just wanted to endorse Carl as our fire department chaplain. He's been with us, gosh, almost a year now. He comes from Chicago area, was served in a metro fire department in Chicago, been there, done it, deck guns, 2-story fires, everything. Comes with a vast amount of experience that relates to our fire department. There's just something calming about having Carl in the presence of the fire department. Every month he posts a healthy message for our physical health and then a message on our mental health. And it was very relieving when we had the fire on 4th Street that he was the person that was making contact with all of the witnesses and neighbors and just checking in on them. In fact, it was the witnesses that called him and said, hey, I need you to come back and let's talk through this. So I think it's a very big addition to our fire department, and I've certainly seen a change in our physical well-being and mental health as a result of Carl's great work. And this week is no exception. So thanks.
Ray.
Thanks, Ray.
We will go into new business, resolution number 19, 2022, a resolution to approve a minor subdivision for Mid-States subdivision.
Move to approve. Second.
Jason and Dane, discussion? Seeing none, council please vote. Okay, that is approved. Takes us into new business B, presentation from Main Street Nevada regarding the Camelot Theater project.
We have it in color, by the way. It was on a different tab.
Oh, okay, perfect. Good evening, council. It's always exciting when we get to come and present on some of the projects that we've been working on. And this project started about 1.5 years ago as part of our Vitality Committee. They identified the want to pursue kind of a plan with our theater downtown. And so out of this group, the Camelot Theater Foundation, as it will be soon designated with its 501c3, is working to purchase the Camelot Theater and has created quite a comprehensive plan here. And so over the last 1.5 years, we have interviewed and talked with over 12 historic theaters, everything showing from live movies, up-to-date movies, to live entertainment, Broadway shows, kind of a mix of all the above. And so that is how we have come up with this plan and this, I guess, this document that's before you tonight. I'm going to go ahead and invite our two chairs for this committee, Dave and Melissa Sly, to speak a little more on the details. I did print off that packet with photos, and I can pass it around here real quick.
Hello, everybody, I'm Dave. Obviously, this is Melissa. Here in the community. The project that we have so far is to acquire the building, as Henry mentioned. And so Melissa and I are kind of spearheading this effort as members of the Vitality Committee and long-term members of the community. So we're putting in $20,000. The curtain box, I don't know if you know Jim and Ann, they've also been pretty active people here in the community, putting another $20,000. We're asking the city to help us with 20 and NEDC to help us with 20. That gives us $80,000 to use to acquire the theater for $50,000. And then it gives us some working capital to pay for utilities and insurance and any emergency issues while we seek the funding we need for the renovation project. So we'll call that phase 0. The project itself, as Henry mentioned, involved really a repurposing of the theater. The key point that we wanted to attain was something that was sustainable, something where the theater building could bring in enough money to support the theater building so that we're not having to go to the community. And we did, from Henry's direction, really helped I benchmark how other theaters are and are not becoming sustainable. We do have a great benefit in that we have 2 upstairs apartments, and there's a grant that we're going to get those renovated to bring in some income around $1,500 a month. We also have that benefit that we have a fairly large theater, and we can convert some of the seating in the back and on the sides into a table and a couch type environment, which will allow us to expand the lobby area into the building to the north, which actually originally was part of the Camelot Theater to begin with, to create a kind of a wine bar bistro type environment. Most of these theaters make their money on food and drink, and also the sustainable nature of a food and drink establishment being open all the time when there's not necessarily entertainment also provides a great opportunity. And then, of course, the theater itself. We're lucky, unlike some of the other theaters where the theater portion is actually in good shape. We are not planning on really changing anything except for the seating arrangement and dealing with some fire safety exit issues in the back. But we're looking at, for a full build out, which would be an addition to the back of the building to the north. If you can imagine, it's a hair salon right now. That addition would house the new bathrooms and kitchen. And then what we know is the hair salon to the north, as well as the entire lobby of the theater, would be the seating area for basically a bar, concessions area, and tables. The back of the theater would be opened up, so we have access to the back through into the table seating under the balcony. And you can see a number of pictures here. These are renditions that architecture students from Iowa State did as we looked at the project. We've met with Story Construction and Woodruff Construction to validate some of the numbers. We said total project build out looks like around 1.5 million. We're trying to get that as low as possible. Not to remodel the theater is a big benefit, but there's still a lot of work that needs to be done. We'll obviously are trying to get as many grants as possible. We'll be applying for the Story County grant that just came in. That application deadline is actually on Friday, the 15th. And of course, the other grant for the renovation of upstairs apartments. Those two will really help. But obviously, we need to secure the building, get the 501c3 going, and that's why we have the request for the funds. So, anything else? And are there any questions? Questions?
You're thinking, but are you looking at this dinner service or all-day service for the restaurant?
So the restaurant bistro, a little bit of the business model, maybe I should have gone into that, is that this 501c3 would own the facility, but it would obviously be rented out. We would not be operating that. That would be rented out. So we would hope to find someone who'd be willing to run a small restaurant. It's still going to be a fairly small restaurant, so we kind of use the word bistro wine bar concept. The wine bar bistro concept seems to fit well with the venue concept that we're also pitching. So
There'd be an opportunity for catering.
Yes. Everyone's been involved as well. She's using the facility currently for weddings, and this would just be facilitated with that. So whoever takes over the management of the restaurant, right, would determine exactly what the exact food is. So the word bistro is just kind of a thought we have right now.
Well, the leasing income would sustain and maintain, provide the revenue to have sustainable income for the building maintenance.
We're looking at trying to target around $70,000 to $80,000 a year of income, which we think is needed to sustain the building.
The apartments would, go ahead.
Excuse me, do I understand correctly? Then the model is a nonprofit ownership?
Yes, of the building.
Beliefs?
Yes, so that we have the community owns the building for now into the future. We're not dependent on, some operator coming in. None of us are operators. We don't claim to be. My wife and I did the building across the street, the old John Deere building. We did the remodeling and repurposing of that. And if you're familiar with the old Cars and More building on Lincoln Way, we also did that along with a partner of ours, Brad Lenz, who also lives here in the community. So we've had some experience doing this, and that's why when we got added to the Economic Vitality Committee, we recognized the goal here is to become sustainable as quick as possible. If anybody's wondering why not, own it, first of all, I think that every theater in Nevada, even with the best business models we've studied, it's a tough business model from independent, to put 1.5 million into a facility and expect to retain a profit. But the good news is, given the size of our theater, the opportunity that we have for the restaurant bar, which many theaters do not have, they just don't have the space, and the upstairs apartments, we in Nevada are really lucky. And the fact that we don't have to take it to the studs. All we are doing is really hitting the lobby, expanding into the north, and preserving the theater. So.
Well, I'd have to say I commend you for coming forward with this project and the fact that it's the centerpiece of our downtown.
Yeah, we really wanted to see the challenge is we're either be here now or we all know that we'll be here in a few years with the unfortunate reality of having to take it down. It's not being maintained. In fact, it's not even insured. Melissa and I are taking care of getting insurance on the building. So we're in a really tough spot here. We need to move quickly to preserve it. We have a good roof. There has been water damage. We're working on getting that addressed right away. Luckily, it's had new HVAC and electrical. There's nothing structurally wrong with the building, but the facade is a serious problem. Anybody who's walked by know that the windows are broken upstairs and water's getting in, and we need to secure this quickly. So that's why, time's of the essence, why we wanted to move quickly, get the building secured, a little extra money to at least bird up the opening holes and the facade part. If you look in the thing, we have phases. The $250,000 to hit the facade is our number one priority. It's our biggest leak right now. So.
And all these phases are going to be funded through grants?
We're hoping to get a substantial grant from the county as part of this COVID money. I don't know if you're familiar with it. ARPA, yes. And then also there's a grant that we think will be in good shape for upstairs apartments, which might bring in enough to do them. And so We also have a grant for, what's the one that we?
Catalyst grant.
Catalyst grant, which is about 100,000. So if we could get around, 750 from the county, 220 for the upstairs apartments, 100 from the Catalyst grant. There's some other historical grants that we may apply for, we may not. Depends, we may be modifying the facility too much. But the architectural design that you see here in this drawing, I don't know if you can see this drawing, is very similar to the original drawing of the building. We actually have the architect's original drawings, which is really great. We found an architecture firm in Ames that still owns them, which has really helped us structurally evaluate how it was built. But we're taking it back. Unfortunately, a lot of historical committees want us to go back to the 1970s, which wasn't necessarily its best look, which is what we have right now. So we're going back to the original 1920s with this style.
What's the plan if you don't get the grants then?
Well, we don't get any grants, then.
Well, and I think the other aspect is there is a community aspect to it, I guess, on reaching out to the community for, I guess, investing into it and pledges into it. I think we've got kind of a sample breakdown on what it could be. So part of that would be like a corporate sponsorship or a corporate, I guess, a pledge into it. Another part would be just individual pledges through the community. We found that there is a strong personal connection to that theater, and people really want to see it take that next step and really become that hub of downtown and that just pull people into the community. And so there's a lot of community pride with it. So I guess we'll have an aspect of that will be, a large aspect of it will be community.
Okay.
Smaller communities have been able to raise substantially more money than we're asking for the project. So we're hoping to get as much grants as we can and fill the rest with whatever donations we can get.
Pretty aggressive timeline. That's kind of.
The timeline is a very aggressive. If we're lucky, if we get every grant we're applying for and the timing hits by June, we get 2/3 of the funding. Wow, this is what we could do. If you're right, if we don't get those grants and we have to go to the community for money, especially with the new project for the field house project, that could delay us a few years. But the most important thing is we feel secure the facility, get the 501c3 in place and get that facade fixed. So we don't have any further deterioration. Get the building insured, try to keep it active as best as possible until we get the money to do it right.
You're gonna be able to do the facade before becoming a 501(c)(3)?
Well, we hope to have 501c3 done. We've already applied maybe in 60 days to.
We want to have the nonprofit in place to purchase the building under a nonprofit. So the current owner is ready to sell.
That takes a long time to.
Yeah.
Doesn't that take a long time?
Rick Parker's working on it. He's hoping that we can at least get the entity created and then the actual application for nonprofit status, may come a little bit later, but we can at least get the entity. We may be in a situation for 30 or 60 days, Melissa and I need to temporarily own it to transfer it because we want to miss that. But the full intent of this is it's to retain in that status. Yes.
I hope you guys can pull it off.
So do we.
So the place deteriorating.
Yeah.
Well,
And we've been working in partnership with the Historical Society. They would be a vehicle for any funds that are donated beforehand before this 501c3 is completed.
Good.
And that's just a vision that kind of both organizations share. And so they really wanted to partner to help make that a possibility.
Okay.
Henry, what's our commitment as a city to the Catalyst grant application? Because we've kind of created a precedent that when some of those applications happen on.
Yes, so the Catalyst grant, which was for the journal building, that one correct? Or
Well, I'm just
Was that the Tipton building?
going forward. No, like going forward.
What have we done in the past?
What have we done?
that was a
in the past?
20%.
Okay,
20% of the
so
building.
Is this money in lieu of that or in addition to that?
This would be in-
Come back.
This, from what we've discussed, would be in lieu of that 20%.
Okay, so we'll have already kind of done our due diligence with that application with this approval.
So then if they apply, because I know in the past when you apply for those grants, they ask for the city commitment. Would you have other avenues then to find that match that would strengthen the Catalyst grant
They
application?
might consider this money as a
Or would they consider this part of that?
That's a
project.
Okay.
Yeah, I think they would.
I'm not gonna come back.
And then this is also the type of project that we saw some similar projects like this when we presented for the Catalyst grant too, which is another type of state grant. The one that we're going for, Catalyst, or no, not Catalyst, the CAT grant, the Enhance Iowa. So, I mean, there are multiple options as far as the state goes. And I think they would be excited for projects like this too.
I think we've had some exciting projects, but like for me personally, this is probably the most exciting one because we talk about wanting to make our downtown a destination. Other than gatherings, there's probably nothing downtown that's going to bring in as many people from out of town to see all the work we've done to improve our downtown. So I love that you're doing this. Absolutely love it. It's one of the things I was most excited about when we got into Main Street Nevada was seeing something move with this. So thank you guys for taking it on.
Happy to help.
In talking with the other theaters in small towns such as this, is there evidence that shows there's a market for that it does bring people into town? Is there data on that we can?
There is, that's something I can pull the specifics on that. So we actually joined the League of Historic Theaters, which is a national organization, and they actually have those numbers broken down kind of I guess a little bit easier to kind of digest a little. But we've discussed with many of the theaters, and as a nonprofit with some form of food, that tends to be the reoccurring thing that really makes these projects possible, is having the food concessions, a bistro model, also variety of show. That was when they told us, they said to be viable, you have to have diversity of the programming that you are showing. Their models are successful. And we've looked at theaters in communities much, much smaller than ours. And they have done amazing things. We've met with Corning, with the Corning Opera House, Winterset. I believe it's the State Theater in Winterset. Englert Theater, which is in Iowa City, which is a massive theater too. But really, this has been pieced together using the best parts of all those theaters and what they learned through the process. And you see a lot of overlap on what they've learned. And so really this was created working with them to make the most effective plan.
Yeah, I think our best advantage is that we have a larger population base with the larger cities nearby, but it's also more competition as well. So it can go both ways.
There are interesting parallels, though, that the type of facility that we have appears to be unique. Ames doesn't really have this kind of a venue.
Right.
For example, I'm actually in the Greek system. I went to Iowa State. And unfortunately, once you're in Iowa State and you're in the Greek system and you live nearby, you're always in the Greek system. And I know how with 32 fraternities and 16 sororities looking for venues to have events at where alcohol isn't necessarily an issue. Obviously, it could be locked, no alcohol served on this particular evening because of this Greek system event. That was just one idea. We went through all kinds of everything from community theaters to tie-ins with programs like trivia nights, which obviously we're a little bit troubled with not having an alcohol venue because of dates being, the list gets pretty long. So you're right, it is a concern, but it's interesting when you look at, you think, well, gosh, Ames has got 3 of these. Well, they used to have 3 of these theaters, but they don't anymore. So I think we can pull in good. And then of course, Evie and the tie-in with what she's been doing, she was telling us she could probably have 2 or 3 weddings in here every single month. So, when it comes to meeting our number, the number we need to meet to make the 60 to 80,000 a year to keep the building viable, I'm not concerned. I was a lot more concerned about filling the old building than I am getting people into the Camelot. Obviously, getting a good operator, for the wine and bistro is going to be key, and we're going to need some good legal assistance in making sure we have good contracts so we can maintain that. But the fact that we own the building and we get to select who provides the food and drink, which we found is the pivotal element of making this work. It's got to be high quality food and drink for the events, as well as when an event isn't there for it to be viable.
Personally, I like the balance too. We're working on a field house project and we've done a lot of things for sports in the community that have been very successful as well. But this gives us a cultural opportunity that we haven't really had besides the auditorium, which has been a huge success. So I think we're on the way to a balance of personally.
Great. And as far as logistics go, is there a formal resolution that has to come back if there's an interest, or how does that work?
I think that's historically how we've done it, is with
So you're looking for consensus to bring something
right
as an action item next time?
But the pledge would be something more formal than Just a motion.
Okay.
We've done it via resolution in the past? Have we done the contributions via resolution? Yeah. Require that, yeah.
Yeah, this isn't actually a catalyst or a challenge grant, so there isn't actually a resolution that's required. So it would be great if we did have a resolution, but I don't think the resolution would be required for approving that or suggesting something, but it would be nice for next council meeting if we could get
Yeah,
one
put something together. Yep.
Yeah.
Is there anything specific we need to submit for the next meeting?
I don't think so.
I think we have what we'll need. Thank you.
Great. Thank you very much. Good presentation. Very good presentation. Thank you, guys.
Am I taking it there is interest in seeing a resolution next time?
Yeah.
We have consensus. Thank you for your presentation. Okay, that moves us into reports, starting with our city administrator.
All right, I'm gonna first off talk about Marlis because she gave me a report. So Marlis has been working a lot over since she's been here, and she's been here over a year, and she's been working with all of the departments. So she's been doing a great job, all of our communications, social media. Some of the things that she's been working on over the last couple of weeks, there was a story picked up by Channel 5 over a kid here in town that received some cop stickers because his cop stickers were worn out on his little vehicle. So that was a really big highlight, and our police department was the one that gave the stickers to the kids. So I think he was a very happy kid. We've been meeting with MSN, so Main Street, doing all the promotion, talking with them about Christmas. So that's exciting, even though Christmas is going to be cold. It's around the corner, fortunately and unfortunately. And she's also been working with Corey Merrigan and talking about our downtown construction projects. So anything you see on Facebook, that's Marlis. She does a really good job of keeping everybody updated, and that's a good way of finding out what's going on in the community as well. So last week I was at ICMA and had a really good week. It was really more about diversity, culture, inclusivity, as well as quality of life. That seems to be a real common trend for a lot of the seminars or conferences that I've attended. I had our weekly meeting with Brenda, not last week, but the previous week with that, and we really focused on more of the micro enterprise funds. I believe we have 13 or 14.
I can give a report here in just a minute.
Cool. I'll let her talk about the micro enterprise then.
Also went to an Alliant roundtable. That was really fun. We learned about Alliance initiatives, what they're doing around the state, the country. We have a meeting with them to talk about a tree program that they are doing, seeing if they can allocate some of the trees over in this area. So we're really excited about that. We also had a couple of ribbon cuttings, Luna Parlor. They've been in business for a little over a year now, but they finally were able to get a ribbon cutting. And then also Finish Line Nutrition. So I don't know if you guys have been there, but it's a smoothie and tea shop downtown. And then last Friday, we had our Osage bus tour, and it was an inner city visit. Really fun time. Got to see Osage and all the fun things and ideas that they are doing. It's a smaller community than Nevada is, but they're very progressive, and it was fun to see what we're going to be able to accomplish as well for our size. But that's all I have right now, and I'd be happy to answer any questions if you have any. Okay, moving on to my report then. Well, I'll start with Ray and Aaron. I had a really good weekend this weekend, and
You did?
our Hawkeyes are number 2 in the United States. Yeah, and Luke too. So
Beautiful thing.
we'll put that out there for the record because they don't say that ever. So with that, we talked about the Osage trip. I think that was pretty valuable. They had some things that they'd recently accomplished that are on our kind of near-term goal list, like the CDBG downtown facade program. And so we got to talk to them about some of the things they learned going through that. So hopefully avoid stubbing toes kind of where they may have. And so good feedback on a lot of those priority projects. So Also, the CAT grant, did that presentation last Thursday, and I'm sure Brenda can add to it, but sitting there listening to the other presentations, I think we had the strongest one of the day, in my unbiased opinion. So I feel really good about our chances there. The committee did say, and as they said it too, they said we checked all their boxes. So I think we were the type of project that they really were looking for, when their goal is community attraction and tourism. So we really hammered home, that this project brings people not only from Iowa, but regionally, with the various tournaments. And Tim did a really nice job talking about all the things that our Parks and Recreation Department brings to the community through the Central Iowa Rec League and through all those tournaments and the Ames Convention and Visitors Bureau. So I feel pretty good about that. So we should know probably the beginning of December, it sounded like. They have another round of presentations, but the staff person made a comment that a lot of those aren't ready to come to the committee, and she doesn't think they're all going to make it there. So we're hoping some of those won't make it there, because then that makes the ask that they have in front of them smaller, which means it's more likely we'll get what we asked for. So we'll see. They have I think somewhere around $5.5 million. We are probably the largest dollar amount that day as far as raw dollars, but as far as the percentages, we're right in line. And we were really impressed with the fundraising we were able to do. So exciting to hear back on that. So you'll be seeing some probably movement on the bid process and stuff as we finish out the last phases of it. With that, I am happy to answer any questions. Awesome. We'll go, council reports, I guess, first, and then we'll go to Brenda.
I'll jump on the Osage train. I just want to thank everybody who's involved with organizing that. I thought that was really cool to get out and see what other communities are doing. I thought that it was kind of interesting because, and I don't know if those of you who were there would agree, but it seemed like there was almost a sense of like, and we didn't even have a lot of help with this. We kind of did this on our own. And when I compare that to our experiences here, where we've got all these different entities kind of all pushing in the same direction, how much even more we can accomplish and quicker. Like, I don't know, I thought that was kind of an interesting contrast, and I think that speaks well for Nevada. So, but I was impressed by the way too that they like pulled some resources and kind of made some things happen that they wanted to accomplish, that they weren't, kind of, I guess, in that same vein, like their theater, museum, fieldhouse type thing, like. They have two groups all trying to do the fundraiser at Rec Center, trying to raise all three things at the same time, and they weren't getting the money. So it's like, well, why don't we get together and do all this in in the same place? It's like, that's smart.
We had our after Lincoln Highway Days committee meeting, which we just went over some of the things that went really well, some of the things that could use some help, and we came up with more good ideas. And looking forward, we're going to start meeting again in January and start working on next year's. So it was good. And then Osage too was just a lot of great ideas and information. So.
Thanks. Anybody over there?
I went to Osage too.
Barb's a ditto.
I'm a ditto.
Okay. We'll go back to Brenda.
I'll talk about three things. I'll talk a little bit about the CAT presentation, the inner city visit, and then give you kind of where we're at with interest on the micro enterprise program. So first on the CAT presentation. So Tim, the mayor, and Michelle did an outstanding job. You would have all been very proud of how professional, even in costume, they were. And I think one of my favorite things was after the event, we had taken photos and shared those on digital media, and the state reached out to me and said, hey, can we have those photos? We'd like to post them as well. And oh, by the way, nice touch on Uncle Sam. So it was fun to be able to talk about the project. I do believe they will hear the last round of presentations in October. And I hung around for the chatter at the end. And I really do feel like they don't want to wait till October to make those awards. So we may see something before Thanksgiving in terms of an award amount. Also, we got the sense while we were there that it's okay to start proceeding with some things. So the mayor alluded to that, and I would certainly encourage you to start the process of some of the foundational things you do that take time and take meetings to get through, so that when the official award comes, we're ready to go. So again, fun day last Thursday, and I'm going to attend the meeting on the 28th, so that I have a handle of kind of what the competition is looking like, what the board is feeling, and if they will indeed schedule a meeting for November. And we'll have, I think we need a group of us there to, while they make those awards. So I'll keep you posted on that. A little bit about the inner city visit. You've heard about some of the things that the others picked up, and one of the takeaways, and I'll be summarizing our debriefing exercise, but we talked a little bit, well, actually, the superintendent talked for about a half hour about some of the things that the school is doing engaging business. And so Barb suggested that there already is a school and city task force of the council and the school. And so I think we need to get that group together. Nikki, who I referred to earlier, actually leads our pre-K-12 engagement. So we have some funding to support things that group might come together with. And so I'd like to get that moving. Simple little things like adopting a classroom. So every single classroom at the Osage School is partnered with the business, small and large, and they have 3 engagement opportunities in the year. And I think something so simple. So I was very excited that many folks mentioned that they want to be more engaged with business. And I think I speak on behalf of the businesses in the community, Henry as well. I think that'll be something that'll be awesome. And Barb, who's the superintendent, said, if you're a kindergartner and you get paired with a business, by the time you're done, you will have known a lot about 12 businesses in the community. And thinking about more than just where they're located, knowing what they do, who owns them, about the products they carry. So I was excited you're interested. I'm excited for our role that we can work with you in the school district on that. On the micro enterprise program, we are up to 17 folks that have expressed interest should you get funding. Equates to 37.2 jobs. Total project amount of about $995,000 with request of close to $500,000. So for folks that are watching, please realize this is really just an exercise that we wanted to collect initial interest. We haven't designed any loan parameters or scoring criteria or anything like that, which is obviously, even before we do an official round, we're going to have to come up with some criteria in order to do some fair decisions regarding the funding should we get it. But I've shared that with the grant writer tonight, so they can continue to move forward. But I think it's important for people to realize they haven't missed an opportunity. We're just using this to really throw that out there to send a strong message that there's lots of interest should we have a program. Any other questions you have on the economic development front for me tonight? You let me off easy before. Okay, good. I'll see you in a couple of weeks.
Thanks, Brenda.
Okay, go to Ray.
Really nothing, my report, if there's anything you have questions on, meeting.
Thank you, Ray. And also want to thank the department for everything they're doing to support families and members in need. And if there's anything you need from any of us, I know we're all happy to be there.
Yeah, I think it'll be a long road for that family.
Thanks.
We always talk about training, so Cal Fitness is in about week 6 of his FTO program. He's currently on days, so you might see him around. And then our team in the academy are about halfway through. The lead us with one opening, we'll probably have a post coming out front at the end of the year. So.
Sergeant. Thanks. Karen?
Just wanted to give a reminder to the council budget committee that it's me. The new phone system this week, so we're supposed to switch over on Friday, the way I understand it. There won't be budget workshops that bringing on our redistricts. We don't know what's wrong maps.
Anything, Karen?
Not too much to report. We'll have a full update on projects with the next meeting. And other than that, just help your staff out with some items. Yeah. Did have a chance to go a little early on the street project. And making good progress with the mainline paving is in. So 3 weeks until November 1st. At least most of the paving should be done on the street should be on by then. Much of the side streets take that is the road. Was pointed out to me by Jeremy Bizzle that there's a bit of a rise issue on Lincoln Highway. The rest is rough. So we contacted construction. Seems they can do about fixing that. But the only way to remedy that is to bring the levels as possible. And I'd like to follow up with Jordan on the gentleman's comments. I would say I hear too much.
Sounds good. Karen?
Nothing for me.
Okay, anything else before we do the closed session?
With the way the candor of Mr. Lang, I think it'd be nice to have somebody reach out to him to answer his questions and address his concerns. I'm sure Mr. Hutton is well qualified in both the answers and the demeanor.
I think the difficulty tonight is when there's that many things, we obviously can't address them here, but some follow-up is done appropriately. Okay, anything else? Okay, then the next item is a closed session pursuant to Iowa Code Section 21.51J to discuss purchase or sale of particular real estate only where premature disclosure could be reasonably expected to increase the price the governmental body would have to pay for that property.
Move to go to closed session.
Dane and Jason. So roll call that or button. Okay, so council please vote. Then we'll take a short break here and then get into that item.